Hello, this is Steve from Beato's Leatherworks. Today's project is this beautiful Chanel bag. This very well loved Chanel bag. Now when this customer brought in this bag, she requested the lining be replaced. So along with the lining replacement, she asked the exterior to be cleaned and dyed, add some color to just kind of refurbish the bag to bring it back to what it used to be. So once we took it apart to replace the lining, we found out a couple of other issues that came up, and then we basically took care of the issues that came up without any other additional cost to the customer. Since we had the bag apart, we just figured that, not a bad idea just to get to the problem areas, get them done. That way, she's happy. She doesn't have to do anything else with the bag. Once she receives it, she can wear it for many years to come. As you watch the video, slowly we take it apart, make a pattern of the lining, and basically remake it, and reinforce some areas that were kind of worn out, and put everything back together. All right, hope you enjoy the video. All right, so let's see what we have here. We've got leather lining with a backing. We're going to try to salvage this backing and reuse it. Still in pretty good shape. We'll clean that up a little bit. These stitches need to be cleaned up. Looks like there's lots of stitches there. It was repaired before, and they just added about 3-4 stitches on there. Unfortunately, the handles here, they get a lot of stress, and as you use it, it's going to loosen up the stitches and start falling apart. And it looks like sometime they had stitched these areas before to reinforce those. Now what we're going to do, we're going to unstitch the ends of the handle and sandwich a piece of nylon reinforcement inside on all 4 of them, just so we can give it some structural support. That'll help that out quite a bit. So as you guys can see, we are getting there slowly but surely. Let's continue. This is a piece of plantation crepe that I use to remove the stitches or remove the excess glue. It's rubber. The friction of rubbing against it usually peels everything off. All the stitches and all the glue residue. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this excess stitches that are on there, or the holes I should say. The stitches are off. Maybe we'll flatten that down a little bit, add a little bit of color, try to hide that. But once it's poked the holes into the leather, there's really not much you're going to be able to do to make it invisible. But we'll make it look presentable. These are just some nylon pieces that I'm putting in there to reinforce that area. There's so many holes on that leather. This is just to kind of reinforce it. That way it adds a little bit of structural support where the handles are. Whenever you're taking a bag apart, like for example this pocket here, this was like that, I always indicate which way the zipper is closing. Okay, because what happens is that if you're not videotaping, if you're not recording or taking pictures, when you take something apart, sometimes you forget. How did the zipper go? Right to left, left to right? So this way you put a mark on there. You know exactly how you took it apart, so you can put it back the same way exactly what it was. We are getting there. We've got our side panel here. We've got the other side. And we get to stitch this top piece on with the zipper just like that. Just like that one. And then assemble it. Stick it into the bag, stitch it. Oh, we're almost done. There's a little bit more left, but as you can see, we're making progress. Let's continue. When we're stitching panels together, we want to make sure that the two leathers line up right there. It's very easy to kind of misalign it when you're stitching it. So that's the important part, that you got to make sure that everything is lined up. All right, so whenever I'm stitching the bottom piece on, you noticed earlier I made those little notches there, the center of the pieces. Also put notches on the bag's bottom centered. Stitch those corners in, that area, this area, this area. This way, when I'm stitching the bottom, it doesn't twist on me. Everything should line up perfectly as we're stitching it. That way, we know that the bottom piece is exactly aligned with the two side gussets there, two side pieces. It's centered to the bag, so it doesn't twist on you when you're stitching it. All right, let's continue. We'll stitch that, close that, if I can speak. We'll close that off there, and you'll have a nice reinforced handle on that spot. Cool, let's continue. All right, so this bag was sent in for a complete new lining and re-dyeing, conditioning, and water repelling the exterior. It was $1,350, $1,350. Now, along the way, I normally do things that, you know, was not part of the process of the repair. For example, reinforcing the handles. The customer didn't ask for that, but it's the right thing to do, so just kind of give it a little more life. Also noticed that once I was starting to kind of look it over, I noticed that the corners were just kind of shot. Now, I didn't see this when I was giving the estimate, because the estimate was just basically for lining and redoing the exterior. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep on taking it apart, replace the piping all the way around the bottom, and I think she'll be happy with that, because I'd hate for her to have a pretty usable bag and then have the corners fall apart more. Then you got to completely take it apart again just to get to the corners. So it's just the right thing to do. Let's just keep on taking it apart, replace the piping, and then reassemble it, and we'll be ready to go with this project. All right, let's continue. I'm going to replace these pieces too. These are just kind of structural support that adds to the bag, but the bag is so old that they've lost shape, so we'll put new ones. Once it gets done, they'll stand up real nice firm. All right, let's continue. replace that piece too. Ew. Little dirty. All right, making progress. So if you look closely here, when they make the pocket, they make the pattern same as the back piece. So all the lines are the same. Isn't that cool? This is a separate piece now. This is not, obviously it wasn't stitched all together. This was stitched first. This was stitched first, and the pocket is stitched on just like what you saw. And it's kind of cool that they've done that to match the quilted pattern from the pocket to the body. Very cool. All right, we've got our piping in, new piping. Now we get to stitch it to the bag. Then we can continue with what we are doing as far as working on the lining, because lining's done. Basically, it's just got to be put inside. Let's see what we got. Basically, we're just going to put it inside the bag, stitch the top rim, and we'll basically pretty much be done. Now, last video I did was the Birkin video, and a couple of people said that I should have shown the inside. Yeah, I know, I should have, but man, I was so stressed in trying to get that job done that I just didn't have the time. I wanted to finish the video and be done with it. So I won't make that mistake again. I'll show the inside of the Chanel bag. Okay? All right, let's continue. All right, so before we put the lining inside the bag, we've got to add the structural support, okay? Now these are all the new pieces that we cut out. This is for the bottom. These are for the corners, basically, okay? And these large pieces are for the main body right here. Once all that goes on, we put a new piece with the handle also. This handle, basically, this gets glued on right there, just like that. And then the lining goes in. So we got to do a few things before we attach the lining to it. All right, let's continue. And it's hard to show you what I'm doing on the inside, but the way I put these structural supports on, I glue both surfaces while the glue is still wet. Slide it into position. And if it's in the wrong spot, if it's crooked or whatever the case may be, you can peel it off because the glue is not dry yet. Once I put these in there, I let them sit there for about 20 minutes or so, and I come back and hammer the corners, or all the pieces, the bottom pieces that I put on, all the structural supports that were put on. Because it's difficult to, well, it's not, maybe it's a little bit harder if the glue is not wet, because once you position in the space, in the spot you want to make sure it's in the right spot. If it's not, then that's not going to work. So we applied that on there while it's still a little wet, and put it into position and let it dry. Beautiful. All right, we're getting there. I know some of you guys are going to ask me about the watch I'm wearing. This was a gift from one of my customers. And he said it wasn't a real one, and which is, it's okay with me. The real ones are supposedly in the thousands of dollars. A gift is a gift, man. It still tells the time the same way. So that's the watch I'm wearing today. Cool, huh? I like it. Let's continue. All right, welcome back. We're done with another project. I think it turned out pretty nice, and I'm so glad that I went ahead and replaced the piping on the bottom, and because it needed it. Somehow I missed it because I kind of was focusing on the interior and the conditioning and dyeing of the exterior. Never took the time to kind of fully inspect it to make sure that everything else was okay. But again, I'm glad we did that. All right, well, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe, thumbs up, comment. That would help the channel greatly. And what else? If you have any questions, you can email me at bitos@yahoo.com. Now, we are going to be closing for the month of July. When you're watching this video, it'll be sometime in July. If you send me an email, you send items in, I haven't responded to you because I'm shutting down. I'm going to take a little bit of break. We'll be back August 1st, and then we'll get to all the emails, all the phone calls, all the items to be called back on when we return. All right, thanks again for joining me. We'll see you guys again on the next project. Take care.